Imagine this, you graduate from university and land a job at a big company, but instead of being placed in a department you hoped for, you're assigned to a completely unrelated role. And to make things worse, your workplace is located in a remote rural area. Whether or even if you'll ever be transferred again is entirely up to the company. Today, we're going to talk about Japan's unique career system known as Sōgōshoku and the phenomenon called Haizoku Gacha. In many large Japanese companies, new graduates are hired through the Sōgōshoku system. In simple terms, you're brought in as an all-purpose employee and expected to take on whatever role the company assigns. Whether it's sales, accountant, HR, or public relations, your department is decided after you join. You can express your preferences, but that doesn't mean the company will follow them. Transfers between departments are also quite common. This is where the so-called Haizoku Gacha, the job assignment lottery, comes into play. It's named after capsule toy machines because you never know what you're gonna get until it pops out. You wanted to work in sales, but somehow ended up in accounting. You hoped for a position in Tokyo, but were suddenly sent to a branch office deep in the countryside. Situations like these are far from rare in Japanese companies. In fact, the larger the company, the more likely it is to use a nationwide transfer system. It's not uncommon for new hires to be placed in far-off regional branches of rural factories, and the timing or even possibility of being transferred again is often completely unclear. When your assignment is totally different from what you expected, it can be hard to build the skills you were aiming for, and your motivation can quickly drop. At that point, many people start to think, I should change jobs and finally do the kind of work I really want. But even then, another major hurdle appears. Without direct experience in your desired field, it's much harder to get hired. And even if you do land a new job, it often comes with a cut in salary or status. On top of that, Japan's job market tends to value youth for so-called potential-based positions, which are usually targeted at people in their early 20s to mid-30s. So the longer you wait, the harder it gets to make a career switch. Time isn't on your side. Of course, there is a reason companies use this system. They aim to place people where they are needed most. They also believe that exposing employees to different departments early on helps develop well-rounded future managers. Especially at large firms, there's a strong emphasis on training generalists through job rotation across multiple departments. In short, the company's needs come before the individual preferences. And this whole system is deeply rooted in traditional Japanese corporate values like lifetime employment and seniority-based promotion. But today's younger generation sees things differently. I want to choose my own career path. I want to build skills and experience that help me switch jobs if needed. I don't want my life disrupted by transfers I never asked for. This generation has lived through Japan's long period of economic stagnation and uncertainty, and the idea of spending your whole life at one company no longer feels realistic or attractive. In recent years, more companies have begun adopting job-based hiring, where roles and responsibilities are clearly defined from the start. Still, the traditional Sōgōshoku model remains the norm, but with Japan now facing a historic labor shortage, it's clear that the company will soon have no choice but to change. How about in your country? Do companies decide both your job and your location after you join, like Japan's Haizoku Gacha? Let me know through in the comments. This channel shares analysis and insights on modern Japanese society from the perspective of an ordinary Japanese person, so I promise it will help you understand Japan on a deeper level. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.